The year is 2026 in this F1 24 career mode, and the championship comes down to this one final race at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix for part number 56 of this series. And this is the quick story of how we got here. We started off the season moving to Mercedes as the reigning world champion, and well, we kicked off the season with a bang, a last lap, last corner overtake on Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari to get our first win of the season and our first win with Mercedes. It seemed like a match made in heaven. The heart emotes were coming out, and I was loving the new lease of life at the Silver Arrow. Some tougher times were to come, but for now, everything was pretty rosy. Red Bull Ford began their partnership in the new era of Formula One. Max Verstappen got to winning ways in the second race, and a second victory would follow for the Red Bull Ford outfit. Their car looked frighteningly quick, and the new partnership of Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton as teammates appeared to be starting off amazingly. 2 wins in the first 3 races. It looked like they may be our main rivals and the team to beat in 2026, but little did they and we know that they were about to have a real slump of fortunes, going in the wrong direction with constant car setup problems and car issues, and they wouldn't win for a long time after this doubleheader. And it started with a bang of Alexander Albon then winning the next race at the Monaco Grand Prix. An insane win for Williams, and this would kick off a period of absolute chaos where Williams, High-Tech GP, the new team in Formula 1 that bought out Alpine, and Audi, the team taking over Sauber, it would mark a start of some amazing results for all 3 of these teams, punching above their weights, and it would also see us have 6 different winners in the first 6 races of this season, as wins would follow at the Canadian Grand Prix for Lando Norris, and at the Spanish Grand Prix, it is home race for Fernando Alonso and Aston Martin Honda now. But with all this chaos, the most consistent man in the sport was Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. He was leading the World Championship despite not winning a single race. But that would start to change at the next event, as we became the first repeat winner in 2026. And this again, just like the start of the season, appeared to be a great period for myself and Mercedes, but cracks were forming. The car was a diva. Tire issues in the race with tire heating, tire wear, and up till now I was pretty much carrying most of the team on my back, with Russell having a real season to forget up to this point, because in the next race he would finally break the duck and get his own race win at the British Grand Prix. But it seemed only one Mercedes could ever have good fortune, because while George Russell was enjoying the champagne and being back on top of his game and actually looking quick for once in the season, we were having a flying time in our special one-off white Mercedes livery. It seems like the one-off liveries never pay off for Mercedes, as we waltzed home to a lowly no points finish. And at the same time, fireworks were going off between the McLaren and Ferrari drivers of Leclerc and Lando Norris. Russell, in fact, only really got the win because our 2 race leaders at that event took each other out in spectacular fashion at the pit entry. So despite my no points finish, at this point our rivals were taking each other out. They were either not performing. In the case of Red Bull Ford, we as a team were on top of the world. But then things started to take a turn. Our car seemingly through the season was just getting worse and worse in race pace terms, with tyre problems becoming more of an issue, as Lando Norris would then take victory at the Belgian Grand Prix. McLaren looking feisty and clapping back after a disastrous British Grand Prix, and disaster would strike the man he crashed with, Charles Leclerc, at the home race for Ferrari. The worst case scenario, an engine failure in a chaotic race where myself and Lando, my former teammate, remember, from McLaren in the previous season, clashed together, and it was a long-awaited return to the top step of the podium for Max Verstappen. Ollie Behrman, the latest debutant in Formula 1, had a first victory stolen away from him by the Dutchman, as Red Bull, after 7 or 8 long races, consistently qualifying in the bottom 5, not scoring too many points, were back on top as they finally got got to grips with their car problems mid-season. And this would be the ominous start of the end of the enjoyable period I was having of having a lovely cushioned lead in the Drivers' Championship. And we very quickly as a team at Mercedes slipped from P1 down to P5. This not only came at the hands of Max Verstappen being quick once again with Red Bull forward, but also Leclerc finally getting his first win of the season at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And who would have thought the momentum really paid out for the man from Monaco. He got his first win of the season and then immediately got his second win of the season in the following event at the Singapore Grand Prix. And it wasn't the fireworks were the only thing that was sparking away in the Singapore night sky. Things were getting far too heated in wheel-to-wheel battles, and Verstappen decided to hit me midway down the straight, causing damage for both of us as both our races unraveled and Leclerc capitalized. Ferrari looked great. They were in the lead of the constructors at this point. Leclerc had taken the lead of the championship by quite some points. We needed a good race to respond in Sao Paulo. The complete opposite in the sprint would occur, taken out on lap 1 and Leclerc getting a sprint win and a load of points on us. In the full Grand Prix, desperation led to a bit of 4D chess, letting by 3 rivals whilst I was in the lead, knowing that my tyres were about to puncture, letting by Alonso, Verstappen, Norris, and limiting the damage that Leclerc would be scoring on us, when inevitably my right tyre went pop and we went sailing towards the wall in Sao Paulo in the wet. A disaster for us. It was a glorious day for Fernando Alonso and Aston Martin Honda, and little did he know my title rival from season 2 just had done me a favour by at least cushioning the blow and only allowing Leclerc to score a P4 going into the last 3 races of the season. This was crunch time. I had to outscore Leclerc. At this point in the season, it was pretty obvious the Constructors' title was completely gone. I was fighting for my own individual driver's title fight, but in a clearly inferior Silver Arrow. This thing was a dud compared to the Red Bull and the Ferrari. Indeed, even the McLaren and other teams, in fact, of high-tech at times, and Toyota. Russell actually did something for once and helped me defend Leclerc there to finish out the points, and myself and Verstappen would score a 3-4 to chase down Leclerc in the championship. Yes, that's right. Verstappen was chasing as well. He was a bit further behind than me at this point of the season, but he was mathematically back in it, as was Lando Norris as an outside shot for P4, but all eyes were ahead on Leclerc. On the other side of the Ferrari garage, though, Sainz was scoring a much-needed win to keep the momentum up as a unit for their Constructors' Championship bout. At this point, I felt Ferrari had it sealed. They had the Constructors' Championship. They were the overall quickest car through this season. Red Bull had made up ground. They were up to second, and McLaren were breathing down Mercedes' necks for third place in the Constructors. And then in the second last race of this season, the previous episode, Qatar GP, Verstappen, much like in real life in a recent Grand Prix gone by, pulled out a masterclass of domination at the end and won by a whopping near 16 seconds. And he would go from coming into that race weekend third place in the championship to leading the World Championship going into the final round. All season long, the focus had been on Leclerc and myself. The Ferrari consistent through all the races, myself having this up and down, on-off relationship with the Mercedes car, and from the back post, Max Verstappen and Red Bull Ford showed that early success paying off here at the end, and Verstappen's individual brilliance bringing him back into title contention. We only have 1 round to go, and this is how things look. Just showing you the bottom of the Drivers' Championship to show how competitive this season has been. Everyone scoring multiple points, but the eyes are at the top. Verstappen leads the way by 3 points to Leclerc. I am 8 points back from the Dutchman, and then the further 6 points is Lando Norris, still mathematically in with a shout, but it really feels like the 2 main people I need to worry about are Leclerc and Verstappen. Verstappen frighteningly quick in the last few races. And Leclerc, well, he's been the main target all season. He's looked great all season long. We know what we're getting with him in Ferrari, but what kind of Red Bull is going to turn up to Abu Dhabi? Are they going to be as good as they were in Qatar, or are they going to be a bit closer to us as they were in Portimao? Because Qatar seemed to be just a huge uptick of performance for just Verstappen individually, whereas in Portimao, we were taking the fight to him all the way to the end of the race. So it's going to be tight, I hope. If it's not, then GG's, it's game over for myself and Leclerc, but I hope it's the first one. Let's go to the final qualifying in this Mercedes in 2026 for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Welcome along, everybody. It's the fastest day of the week, qualifying Saturday, and we're here in Abu Dhabi.
It's going to be very important to qualify as high as we can, as it always is, but more so in this Mercedes this season. We know the races have been harder than qualifying, so if we're poor in quali, we know it's going to be a horrendous day in the office on Sunday, so this has to be at least a promising Saturday. Leclerc, as you saw there as we cut straight on to our first flying lap, sets a marker down. He goes fastest of all. Don't know where Verstappen is in all of this right now, but indicated Leclerc on provisional pole in this first run, but plenty of people still yet to go, including myself, and I think that's one of the Toyotas right behind me of Sonoda it was. We go P4 only though, and we're slower than Russell. That's a bit worrying because we've always had the measure of Russell this entire season. I hope to God this isn't one of the races where even I can't drag the Mercedes higher, and where the car is where we'll end up, which is near Russell, but you know, that's usually meant both in tandem a bit lower, with a few exceptions of course, as we get on for our second flying lap on the out lap here. We're going to catch Verstappen going very slowly. What is he playing at? We've got a car right behind us of Sargent in the high-tech GP car. I don't know whether Verstappen wants me to go or not. I'm going to go, but I want to also let Sargent through to maybe get a bit of a cheeky slipstream off him. I reckon we could actually overtake him on the flying lap as well. But Verstappen there playing a bit of a game because he's lower than me right now on his first flying lap. So he's playing a bit of a game, trying to put me off a little bit. I try to put him off there as we let Sargent by. Meanwhile, Leclerc not buying into any of the funny business. He's just out there on a separate piece of tarmac, setting another quick lap to go purple again in the session. But look at the top right, purple, bit of understeer, but we do overtake Sargent. My plan has worked. We got a bit of a slipstream from the American in the high-tech GP car. Verstappen's going to get caught up behind him in the last sector, so we're up by 0.6 of a second in the front end though, lacking a bit of bite as we get through the lap. Maybe the tyre overheating on the one flying lap as we lose a tenth and we only gain 4/10-ish to 5/10, but we go second. We're going to be on the front row, it would seem, with Leclerc. That is fantastic. Verstappen oh my God, what? No. I can't believe it. Myself and Verstappen, we've got penalties. 5 places each. For what? For what, FIA? That surely not. That can't be for that funny business both me and him did before that flying lap. Nothing came up on my screen. Usually it would tell you you've got a penalty, but it didn't. So I'm very, very puzzled then. And so I'll be as low as maybe P7, Verstappen as low as P9. But of course, you know, our penalties applied together will actually change things a little bit around. But this could be the biggest form of Ferrari international assistance here for Leclerc. On pole, both his rivals push down the order. This is a nightmare start to the GP, at least in a weird way. At least myself and Verstappen are in the same boat, but I not only need to beat Verstappen, I still need to worry about the Ferrari. There's no use, you know, Verstappen being down and me beating him if we can't beat Leclerc starting on pole. So we've got it all to do, and once again things are going in the man from Monaco's favour as we go to the grid for the final race of 2026.
So here we are, ready to go racing for one final time this year. Another season of victories, controversies and rivalries lies in our wake. And just one challenge remains, here in the United Arab Emirates, on a circuit that made its spectacular debut back in 2009. Welcome to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here at the Yas Marina circuit through 16 corners and a lap distance of around 3.28 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, so plenty of close racing, then plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, a Mercedes, Sainz, Verstappen, Joe, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Sargent, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Behrman, Ocon, Hamilton, Albon, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. And striding into our commentary box to join us today, the man, the myth, the legend, Anthony Davidson. I don't know about you, Ant, but it seems like only a couple of weeks ago we were talking ahead of the first race. Here we are ahead of the last race. This year has just flown by.
Yeah, a lot of races to cover these days in Formula One, Crofty, as you well know, doing them all yourself. But it's the same for the drivers. It comes at you thick and fast, and you've got to pace yourself as well to get to this point in the season. If it has gone your way, it's a great time to just enjoy it. There's nothing that can change in the championship pecking order, of course. If you've won the championship already, go out and enjoy this race and send yourself off through the winter break. If it's been a bit of a year to forget, you can try and take a bit of solace in this Grand Prix, end on a high and carry that energy into next season.
Right, this championship is still alive and there's still a chance we can win it. So get out there and bring the title home. Come on!
Oh, there's another twist in the tale. If you were keeping a keen eye on the grid sequence, you'll know already Leclerc is not on pole. Another direction this finale is going. He has taken a grid penalty for, I assume, engine components that don't come up, obviously, before you load into the race. Leclerc, he is down, starting P8. Verstappen is P6. I am P4 now. So all of a sudden, we're the lead man on the grid versus our championship rivals. Obviously, technically, mathematically, Lando is also involved in the title fight on math. He's on pole position, but I really, truly believe it's going to take like a huge miracle of like all 3 of us DNFing for Lando to win it. So I'm still really just focused on the Red Bull Ford and the Ferrari. Russell is on the front row now, so, you know, I know he's not done a lot this season, but he did do something at Portimao. Could this be another opportunity for Russell to do something in this season as my teammate and help me out here? He's starting on the softs, by the way, as is Verstappen, as is Leclerc, I know, as well. So we are going a bit different. We're going on the medium along with Sainz, Perez, and I believe Lando Norris as well. I think we will just do horrendously on the soft. If it's at the start of the race, the end of the race, so we're going to avoid the soft compounded tyre. I'm thinking a medium, hard medium to really be able to lean on that hard tyre in the middle of the race and lean on the last set of mediums when we're really pushing flat out for maybe a crucial last stint. Who knows? But ideally, I can just get away and wave goodbye to everyone. But it's a season where the Ferrari and Red Bull have been the quickest cars, well and truly. So I don't think that's going to happen. So we're trying to play it clever and trying to do a strategy that I know will work for us. We're not going to follow the pack. We're not going to follow Verstappen and Leclerc on softs. I know that won't work for me, and we're sticking to my gut feeling that it's all about the medium and hards for me today. Forget the softs, and I'm hoping the softs will wear out for Leclerc and Verstappen actually as we line up for the grid and get ready to go for one last race in 2026. Will it be Verstappen? Will it be Leclerc? Or will it be myself? We're about to find out as we go to 5 red lights to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. It's a good start for our teammate on the left-hand side, Russell, up into P1 as we're going to send it through on Perez, and we're going to be neck and neck with Lando nearly as we really commit through the left-hander. And on the outside now, flat out, keep our foot in, and we're going to get up into second place. It's a 1-2 for Mercedes. This is unbelievable. This is the best start we could have ever hoped for. And I can see on the top left, Verstappen went backwards. He hasn't had a good start. I assumed he was going to overtake maybe a car ahead, but no, he's down to P8. Verstappen's down to P8. Leclerc P6, of course. That's he started in P8, so he's gained 2 positions. Verstappen's lost 2 as Norris and Sainz fight each other. This really has been the most ideal start to this entire race. Russell on soft tyres, of course, so he will eventually be feeling some tyre wear a lot sooner than I will, and we've seen consistently this season Russell starts stints really well and then just falls away. Definitely feeling the same sort of tyre temp issues I've been facing all season with that kind of pattern. It's just not as obvious sometimes. As Leclerc, oh my god, makes a good move here, you know, on the outside. He's up into P5. Leclerc is cooking. He's up 3 positions from the start. Meanwhile, Verstappen is still stuck in P8 behind the Audi of Zhou Guanyu, of all people. The Ferrari looking strong, Sainz looking feisty as well. So having 2 Ferraris in this is going to be quite big for them, I think, if it comes to it at the end of the race. But Verstappen just really didn't go off the line. He's on softs as well, so it's a big surprise there. Leclerc got a great getaway and is ahead of Verstappen there directly, overtaking that Audi that Verstappen will be stuck behind. And there's the onboard from Leclerc, gets ahead of the Chinese driver and slots in and eventually will overtake Sergio Perez. Verstappen now looking to get a move on Zhou Guanyu. Lap 2, DRS activated at this stage now, and Verstappen nearly off circuit, just keeps it within the confines of the white lines and goes right round the outside. Actually a really good move there, but obviously the Red Bull Ford, a much quicker car, and has the downforce to match to make that sort of move. And so Verstappen now can set his sights on getting Sergio Perez and trying to climb up the order as I focus on chasing after my own teammate. We were trading fastest laps, but lap 4 now, I feel like Georgie boy is feeling the tyre wear. Russell, it's time to let me by, son. Please open the door. It's time to let me by as we go down the inside. Russell not being compliant. He's going to fight this one on the soft compound. We make a bit of contact. Russell nearly runs me out of road. Ooh, little love tap on the wall. I actually checked for damage and instead I'm met with the amazing lopsided tyre temperature and tyre wear on this Mercedes. It wouldn't have been a final race of this season if we didn't have to talk about tyre temperatures in the race, would it? What a car this is. What a brilliant car this has been. I'm kidding, it's been an absolute dog. And Russell has been a very unhandy teammate the entire season. Really hasn't scored the points. It's a big reason why we're not fighting for a Constructors' Championship with the Silver Arrows, and I'm left to struggle in his turbulent, dirty air in the last sector. We can't even get close enough to make a last-ditch effort move. We're having to really wring the neck out of the car, going a bit slidey in the final few corners. And now Russell, of course he does, he comes into the pit. So all of that for him to come in after 2 laps. Leclerc's in as well, though. Leclerc and Verstappen are 2 championship rivals in together, covering each other off, but also in tandem, sticking to their plan today on the softs, off them early, onto mediums, and I suspect they'll be going medium, if anything's to go by from previously this season. You know, the pattern has been Ferrari and Red Bull, they've had that tyre wear to be able to always go a step softer than us every single time. So we'll see. Maybe if they do go hards, that will play in our favour at the end of the race, because I'll be ending on mediums, I hope. But Russell here, to be honest, has the chance to do something useful because he's pitted the same lap. So actually, it's a good thing he pit that lap, because now he can maybe try and hold Leclerc and Verstappen up as... well, that was a good effort, Russell. Good. Thank you for that. Thank you, mate. Thank you. Leclerc's by. And I imagine Verstappen will be by very, very shortly. So as we go back to our POV, lap 7, and we are coming in maybe a bit earlier than you would have thought off medium tyres. You know, we only went, like, what, 1 lap earlier than everyone else. But honestly, my mediums were already feeling a bit ropey, and I'd rather get onto the hard tyres. I'd rather stop Leclerc and Verstappen undercutting me massively. And I say them because obviously I was chasing Russell for P1 as Leclerc set to fast after the Grand Prix. So because Leclerc has overtaken him, because Russell's fighting off Verstappen, I assumed that means Leclerc and Verstappen were going to be in the realm of jumping me, and I was completely correct. They've jumped me, and if we didn't come in earlier, it would have been a lot worse. At least now, I can try my best to close up to them. In fact, to be fair, Russell is actually still holding up Verstappen, so that's at least something. And Leclerc is only just up the road. He's not overtaken anyone else yet, but he is trying to chase after that next pack of Piastri as Verstappen goes to the inside. Russell gives him a bit of his squeeze with the Red Bull, tried double dive bomb. Oh, nearly. That could have been pretty bad for Verstappen. He nearly nicked his front wing on Leclerc in that left-hander there, and we're watching on, and we're getting very close now to Russell's rear wing. We've got DRS, in fact, on our teammate, so very soon I'll be hoping for a much easier time to swap these positions. I mean, it was all well and good, start of the race, you don't know what the pattern is going to be. It's fair game to maybe fight your teammate. But now at this stage, Russell, just get out of the way. You're not in the championship fight, and thank you very much. He obliges, and it's very nice timing because as we overtake Russell, Verstappen and Leclerc just get onto the back of a couple of slower cars. They get slowed up with them, and so this gives us an in to maybe get involved in this fight. Albon and Piastri susceptible. We go for the maybe double pass. Oh, God, we're living dangerously. We did what Verstappen did. We almost hit Leclerc on the rear end through that left-hander, and in fact, we do make a bit of contact with Verstappen there as we bang tyres. The Dutchman clouts the curb on the inside, and already maybe is showing his hand and being a bit aggressive as we try and go to the inside, and I feel like we already know that Verstappen is going to be one tough cookie to crack in this race. So far this season, he has been so aggressive. Leclerc has actually been very respectful. We've not really had any altercations with Leclerc. We've had very rarely actually a battle with Charles this season to say we're title rivals, so I'm quite excited to maybe have one in this race if we can get past Verstappen, who is being held up by Albon. I think Albon's got a problem. I think he's got damage, He's going so slow. He holds up Verstappen some more. Thank you very much, Alex. As we go down the inside now, Verstappen, he's off circuit, driving all four wheels off the white line. Where is the FIA when you need them? As we go on the outside of the Red Bull Ford, now to the right-hand side to overtake the Red Bull, who has some front wing damage I can just about pick out there. Verstappen overtakes him as well, though. I was hoping we could put Albon in between ourselves to hold him up anymore, but no. Now comes that incredible Red Bull Ford acceleration. We squeeze Verstappen to the left, inches away from the wall, then dart to the racing line. Verstappen cuts the curb. We're going to have to go over the bump as again he's nearly all four wheels off the circuit. On this year's game, the AI, it's the one thing they're good at. They're good at keeping their foot in, even if they're technically off track. They actually do keep their foot in like a real person. As Verstappen, honestly, looks like Verstappen from real life here. He's so aggressive. He's so on it. Even when I shut the door here, look at this. He goes for the dart on the outside. Incredible from the Dutchman. Gets the elbows out, nearly puts us off circuit, nearly into the wall, and Verstappen continues to annoy us, and this is not helping our case versus Leclerc. Leclerc is gaining seconds upon seconds here in this fight as we finally get ahead of Verstappen at the final corner, and I hope this is where we can start to pull away. We can set a new fast lap of the Grand Prix, and we can start to reel in Leclerc, although I gotta say Verstappen is kept with us. He may not be badgering us as much, but he is definitely sticking with us. And the opposite can be said of Russell there, as you saw, really pressurized by the two McLaren. So for all he was good at the start, Russell falling away and showing maybe the true pace of the Mercedes, unless I am trying to wring the neck out of this thing and drag it up to fight for what is P1 now, with Leclerc in the lead, having everyone made their first pit stops. We fake to the left, go to the right. We're going to try and set up a little bit of a move here, put Leclerc off, but look at that Ferrari initial acceleration, really good. But the one thing we've had going for ourselves, this game has been insane for DRS slipstream. So with DRS, no matter how far back you are, it seems like you're always try and reel people in. But now the problem is, because of that, now that I've overtaken Leclerc, I'm the one who's a sitting duck without DRS. It's kind of, you know, it gives and takes, you know. It can really give you a great move, but then immediately you're going to be put under pressure, and it means you get all these, well, the classic F124 trains we've been having as we go defensive on Leclerc. Maybe a little bit too late as we go far too deep and we open up a door on the outside, and Leclerc dances his prancing horse through on the left-hand side, feeling the pressure slightly there because it was Leclerc and Verstappen in tandem, and Verstappen indeed is going to try and overtake us as we have to be very, very careful with where our front wing is. That could have been a little love tap and a front wing broken on Leclerc's rear end, as Verstappen now is fully alongside us. This time we learn and shut the door fully there, but it won't matter. Leclerc is in, Verstappen's in, and now once again we're all alone and we have to just do our own race. But we got a bit of a taster of battling with the Ferrari and the Red Bull, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great. They were clearly quicker. We were just holding on because of the DRS and being quite tactical with our ERS battery usage. And this is case in point. Even Sainz is very, very quick. I mean, now I have no battery. I overused my battery fighting Leclerc and Verstappen there. And at this point, midway through the corner, I lost the back end, and I thought, hands up, just let him go. Just let him go. Just let him go. There's no point fighting him. I will lose time. Right now, it's a case of not losing as much time as we can, because Leclerc and Verstappen are starting an undercut. We need to just try and maximize these laps because we're going much longer into the race because we're on hards now. Leclerc and Verstappen, they're on hards in this stint at the moment. So actually, we thought earlier they might go medium, but thankfully they're not, as we watch a absolute ding-dong battle, I must say that was, between Hamilton, Behrman and Bottas. Baptisms of fire for Ollie Behrman this season. He's been really in the walls. And that's a load of traffic ahead of Leclerc and Verstappen that if they were to catch them, that would slow them up, as Leclerc, you can see, is actually making a move on Ocon, and you figure losing a little bit of time making an overtake like that. So I'm really hoping, even though I've lost out to Sainz, that being in clean air will help me out as he now comes in, and now we're, you know, in acres of clean air. We not even have the Ferrari ahead of us, so we are just trying to eke out this stint, knowing also that first stint on mediums, we pit early, you know, because the tyres felt so bad. So I tried to give myself as much tyre wear as we could on this last medium tyre, as we're now finally in onto lap 21. So we'll only be doing 9 laps on the mediums. You know, that's more than the first stint, but of course we're on lighter fuel. So I'm really hoping the car won't feel too horrendous at the end of this race, because this is it. 9 laps to go. And it's all to play for still, by the way, between Leclerc, Verstappen, and myself. I don't even know what the permutations are here as it stands. All I know is this is going to be pretty darn tight as we come through and split the two drivers. We come out ahead of Verstappen, but behind Leclerc. Oh, God! We nearly go into the back of the Ferrari as we were a little bit caught unawares with where he was going to brake and where I was going to brake, and now we're neck and neck with Max Verstappen. DRS open for the Red Bull Ford. There's some fighting of slower cars ahead, so that's going to also cause havoc as Verstappen goes for 1-2 positions. Double dive bomb, a little bit of carbon fiber maybe brushing, as there was a bit of a flick of something coming off the Ferrari, as Leclerc and Verstappen now going toe-to-toe, real aggressive, and we can go to the inside to make it 3 wide between the championship protagonists in the final stint of the final race. Epic stuff. It's what you always want to see, but unfortunately for me, I don't want to see both of them staying ahead of me, and that's what's happened. We have not made the move work on the inside. My medium's still needing to warm up as Verstappen now is in charge of things. He's ahead of Leclerc and myself. Remember, he was 8 points ahead of us, 3 points ahead of Leclerc, so this won't do for either of us, but this will do for the Dutchman. But we're looking to make the move on maybe both of them. Verstappen opens up the door. Oh, there's contact between Verstappen and Leclerc. We were on the outside. Leclerc dived to the inside, outside, and I think there may have been a bit of contact. I mean, Verstappen was flirting with contact all race long in that corner, but I think it's finally happened. He's got no end plate. On the left-hand side, you could clearly see a lack of an end fence on the left, and I think that was because of the contact with Leclerc. Yet another twist in the tail, and this is why. It was actually bloody aggressive from Leclerc, you know. Leclerc giving Verstappen a bit of his own menace in there. Nothing to do with me. I was not involved in that. That was incredible to watch, actually. We were just on the outside. If anything, we could have been caught up in that. You know, if Leclerc came in with a even quicker pile driver, we could have been knocked off circuit because we were on the outside of Max. We're quite lucky that his car didn't jump or get pushed right, and he in fact pushed the Ferrari back left, so we completely got out of throttle and just let them fight. And so being patient there has paid out, because now we have gotten the move on Verstappen. Leclerc versus myself now. Verstappen can't keep up with us with that damage. He is now susceptible to an overtake by Carlos Sainz as we maybe try the move on the left. Leclerc shuts the door. We go to the outside. We're trying to squeeze him, but the Ferrari is so good under the brakes. We're going to try this switchback, set the move up, get on power earlier, just like Nico Rosberg did in 2016 versus a much younger Verstappen. We this time do it to an older Charles Leclerc as we get up into second place. But the job is not over. Verstappen is still holding on to P4, and that's maybe still enough for him to win this World Championship amazingly. He's got Sainz, Perez, Tsunoda all over the back of him now in a train. I can't believe it. This race is going to go down to others. It's going to be in the hands of others, like Sainz, like Perez, like Tsunoda, like Lewis Hamilton. Because if you haven't noticed, Lewis is leading. Red Bull have stuck him out long on a one-stop. He's the only driver, I want to point out, that is trying a one-stop in this race. Everyone else on a two-stop. He's the only one on a one-stop. And of course, it's in the finale where him being in P1 here means there's less points that myself or Leclerc can score on each other, on Verstappen. And so this is unbelievable. This is truly out of my hands. And it seems like it may just be in Carlos Sainz's instead, as the Spaniard overtakes Verstappen. He's down to P5. I'm trying to do the maths here in my head on the fly. We're P2, we're going to get 18 points. Leclerc is getting 15 points. Sainz has just got up to P4, 12. Verstappen, 10 points for P5, although he may just try to go around the outside to re-overtake the Ferrari. No, Sainz has too much for him, so Verstappen scoring 10, Leclerc 15, myself 18. So right now, and I've got a fast lap of the Grand Prix, so I think at the moment, this would be enough for me to overtake Verstappen in the championship. We were down by 8 points and we're scoring 9 over him. But is it enough for Leclerc? I don't think so. I'm not too sure. Leclerc, he was 5 points ahead of us, wasn't he? So I don't think P2's enough. P2 is not enough with Leclerc right behind me in P3. Oh my God. And now Alonso, my Season 2 title rival from last time out. He's getting his sweet, sweet revenge. He's taken the fastest lap away from me, but in reality, I don't think it matters, because actually, this is who's ruining my title chances. Lewis Hamilton, Red Bull Ford, may not be able to get Verstappen the Drivers' World Championship as he moves down to P5 with a broken wing, but they for sure can stop me getting the championship with Hamilton. Hamilton being in P1 is going to stop me getting the championship. I mean, that will stop me getting the championship as well. Leclerc overtaking me. Look at the battery. I'm down to 25% battery levels. My front right tyre is absolutely cooking in terms of the tyre wear. Temperatures seesawing a bit. They were pretty stable then, and they'll be stable enough for us to go for a move on the outside. We did fake a little bit to the left, trying to off-put Leclerc, but at the moment, will any of it matter? Because with Hamilton going on for the lead of this race, second place, it's not enough. It's not. The second place with the fastest lap wasn't enough. All of a sudden, I find myself in the last couple of laps here of this race, and my title chances are out of my hands. They're out of Verstappen's hands. And it's all with Lewis Hamilton up ahead. Ironically, you know, in real life, would be Leclerc's teammate in this alternate F1 universe. He's driving for Red Bull. He may as well be driving for Ferrari. But speaking of the Devils, the two prancing horses either side of me. I mean, in a weird way, this is poetry. The two Ferraris attacking me. I'm already down and out. I can't win this championship, I don't think. And now the two Ferraris are both trying to overtake me, just showing Ferrari, they're going to be the Constructors' World Champions for sure. That was already a given, but this is just showing they deserve it. They have been the quickest cars overall consistently, and they still are one of the quickest cars out there. Hamilton, he's got P1 because of a one-stop. In reality, I'm holding on desperately ahead of Leclerc, but you can tell the Ferraris are the quickest cars out here on track, but my old rivals are coming back to bite me. Alonso, he's taken away my fastest lap of the Grand Prix. All I can hope for now, going on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, is by some miracle I can catch Lewis Hamilton. We brought the gap from 5 seconds down to just under 2 seconds in a couple of laps. He has got a lot of tyre wear, so maybe there's a chance. I don't know. I'm diving it, going as late as I can on the brakes every corner. Gap is 1.4. We're closing, but it's not enough. Carlos Sainz, though, has a run on Leclerc. Dare I say, could the Spaniard maybe overtake Leclerc? If he's pushed down to P4, Leclerc, that might be enough for me to win the championship. It would be enough. It would be enough, isn't it? 18 points to 12. It would be enough. I would be scoring 6 points, but that's never going to happen. It's his teammates. They're on for a Constructors' Championship together. Leclerc's on for a driver's title as it stands. Sainz was never going to overtake Leclerc. He was never going to get him. As we drive through this final sector, lock up. It's deflating. You know what? This race right here, the way this is ending, this is the epitome of how I felt driving this diva of a Mercedes. As we round the bend, we've beaten Leclerc, we've beaten Verstappen, but it's not going to be enough. And Charles Leclerc has just come through to win his first F1 World Championship.
Finally!
Yes! Yes! Oh, yes! 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 Oh, yes! With that, another year of Formula One draws to a close, and a new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers. And as we've said so many times in the past, the checkered flag is out for our winner, Lewis Hamilton.
Well, great victory today for the final race of the season, and you take that energy with you through the end of the year, through the winter break, and it's important because your team lives off of that. You want them to deliver you the best possible car for the start of next season's campaign.
We came so close, yet we were so far. Lewis Hamilton winning, and Sainz being the rear gunner for Leclerc means we had no chance there at the end. We were boxed in. And you know what? I spoke about me playing 4D chess earlier in the season. It was checkmate for me there. I could do nothing. I tried my hardest. Ultimately, this car wasn't quick enough for me to win the championship. If I was in a quicker car, maybe we could have caught Hamilton and sealed our own destiny. I will be leaving the Silver Arrows in the end of this season, of course. Absolutely done with this team. Awful car. One of the worst cars I've ever driven with a maxed out R&D. Yeah, we tried. It just wasn't meant to be. We couldn't defend our championship, but you know what? The beauty about Formula One is every season at the end, it resets over the winter break, and you go again. Till that time, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you guys around. Goodbye.